Hi there, and welcome back. In the previous lesson, we fixed the error and learned how to connect OpenAI API to receive prompts and use let and const to declare variables. However, if you are unfamiliar with the difference between let and const in JavaScript, I will ask ChatGPT about what is the difference between let and const in JavaScript. As you can see, this is the response. In JavaScript, let and const are used to declare variables. Let is used to declare variables that can be reassigned later on, while const is used to declare variables that can be reassigned after initialization. With let, you can change the value of the variables later on in your code. With const, you can't reassign a new value to the variable once it has been set. When you declare a variable with const, you must assign a value to it at the time of declaration. With let, you can declare a variable without assigning a value to it, and then assign a value later on. Perfect. It gives me an amazing response, and it also gives me an example. Now we will learn how to create a function to load the messages step by step. This function called loader, and let's try to ask ChatGPT to define the function called loader, which takes an HTML element as an argument. So here is an example JavaScript code that defines a function called loader, which takes an HTML element as an argument. And this is a code function called loader, which takes an HTML element. So we will type element, and it will be clear the text content of the element. So type element dot text content is equal to an empty string, and be sure that it's empty. And now we will back to GPT and continue with the code. It say this function clears the text content of the element passed as an argument and sets an interval function that adds a dot to the text content every 300 milliseconds. It keeps adding dots until it reaches 3. Then resets the dot counter and starts again. The interval ID is returned, so it can be cleared later if needed. This loader will simply return 3 dots. Let me explain what I mean. This is our application's final version. So, for example, if you type hello, then press enter, it will render 3 dots, one by one, then 0. And this will be repeated until we get the answer. Let's back to our code. Then type load interval is equal to set interval. And the second parameter, it will be 300 of milliseconds. Now we will add element dot text content plus equal to string. But this time the string won't be empty. Instead, it will be have dot. What if the text content or loading indicator has reached 4 dots and want to reset it? Because we have an incredible technology called ChatGPT, it gives us the final JavaScript code for this lecture. And here it is. And now we will back to VS Code, then type if element dot text content is triple equal to 4 dots, meaning dot 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 dot. It resets to an empty string. Then type element.text content is equal to an empty string. I hope this lecture has been helpful to be able to write correct code using ChatGPT. And in the next lecture, we will write similar function to implement typing functionality and use ChatGPT provide advice on coding best practice. Thank you. See you in the next lecture.